Oh, hello fourth grade. Welcome to the video. Today we are broadcasting from my favorite spot in my house, which is the armchair in my living room. And if you hear some purring, it's because Harley decided to join me today. But we're talking about addition strategies. We're in Unit 5, and this whole unit we've been talking about addition, and we've been flying through it, and we recycled some of our worksheet pages. Shh, don't tell. But we did that because I think we feel pretty comfortable with adding our 3-digit and even 4-digit numbers. However, before we move on to our next unit, I want to make sure that we have these addition strategies down. And so today we're going to review a few things we've covered in the unit, and then on Monday we're actually going to do a role play activity where we'll see if you really have these concepts down. So to start with, let's jump in. Oh, I got cat hair on me. Yuck. Let's jump in with our first problem. You should know this game. It is Close to 1000. And I would like you to play at home if you're watching with a family member, or if you have a family member nearby, see if they want to play with you. These are the 8 numbers that you are going to have to work with. Number 3, number 2, 8, 3, a 4, a 6, a 9, and a 5. Sorry, no wild cards on this one. Remember, you are trying to complete 2 3-digit numbers that add up to as close to 1000 as possible. If you go over, you are going to simply subtract that number until you get to 1000. If you are under, you are going to add however many points you would need to get into 1000, and that would be your score. Lowest score wins. I'm sure, kids, you could explain it to your parents or sibling, but good luck. Bring these answers with you on Monday, and maybe there'll be a prize for our lowest score. All right, let's review these addition strategies. We are going to talk about 3 addition strategies today, and if you have your notebook handy, write these down. If I were you, I would just start on a clean page. I would title it Addition Strategies, and I'd say number 1, the vertical method. This is going to be that way that we said that I learned in school. This is what your parents learned in school. This is that vertical or stacked method where we are just going to do our straight addition. So if I want to find the sum, S-U-M, remember that's when we want to find the answer when we're adding 2 numbers together. Remember that word, sum. 235 plus 316. Well, in the vertical method, I write my problem just like this. 235 plus 316. And I'm going to start on the right-hand side, and I'm going to move over to the left. So starting on the right-hand side, I'm going to take a look at my ones place. In that ones column, I have 5 and 6, and together I know that makes 11. But using this vertical method, I can't simply write the number 11 down there on the bottom. I need to think about it as the number 11 really means 1 stick of 10 with 1 single cube left over. So 1 10 and 1 1. So thinking about that, I'm going to write my problem as you see on the screen now. 1 1, and I moved that solid 10 stick over where he belongs here with the rest of his tens column. So now I'm able to add up all of my tens, and that would give me 51. 3 plus 1 is 4, plus the additional 1 gives me that 5. Then finally I'll move to my hundreds column, and 2 plus 3 is 5, for a total of 551. This is the vertical method, that stacked method. You're having to carry in this method. Let's take a look at number 2. This one we're going to call the place value method, or you might know it as the expanded form method. We've talked about writing numbers in expanded form. This is going to be the same approach. We're going to work with the same numbers we did on the last problem. 235 plus 316. When I'm looking at these numbers, I think I want to stack them still like this, in that vertical approach, and we're going to add them. This time, instead of starting on the right-hand side, I'm going to start over on the left-hand side, and I want to look at that hundreds place value. If I'm just looking at the hundreds place, I have a 2 and a 3, and what that 2 really means is 200. What that 3 really means is 300, and when I add those together, I have 500. So I'm just going to move that 5 right over here. Moving over to the tens place, I have a 3 and a 1. What that 3 really means is 30. What that 1 really means is 10, 1 10 stick. And when I add those together, I get 40. Hello, kitty. I'm going to move the 4 over here. And finally, I'm going to hit up my 1s. And I have a 5 and a 6. And those simply stand for, well, 5 and 6. And when I add those together, I get 11. Now in this expanded form, I am working with 500 plus 40 plus 11, which is a lot easier for me to add up. I'm still going to have a 1 in this column, so if I just, let me have an addition bar down here. Ooh, we got a big one. I'm going to have this be a 1, and then I have 4 and 1, and that's going to give me a 5. And then in my last column of my hundreds, I have just 5 for 500. Same answer, 551, same thing we got on the last plan. So addition strategy number 2 can be called the place value or the expanded form. Make sure you wrote that down. And the third strategy we are going to review today is the number line. We've been working with this one the most in this unit. We have been working with working on number lines up to 1,000, and now we're going to show you how you can add on a number line. I'm going to start with 235, and I'm going to draw a number line. And I'll make it white. And there we go. Now, in our traditional number lines that we've been working with so far, we had a number at the end over here, like 1,000. In this case, we don't have 316 to put over here. We want to add 316 onto this value. So I can choose either end to start on or break this apart any way I feel comfortable. I think I'm going to start by adding 300. That's a nice even number, a good benchmark number for me to add. So 235 plus 300 will actually leave me with, if I add 300 onto 235, that's going to give me 535. Notice how only the hundreds place changed. I only had a number in the hundreds place, and only the hundreds place changed on my number. So now that I have done the 300s, I only have 16 left to add. And again, I could choose any way to break that apart. I could add 16 right now if I wanted to, but I think I'm going to use that place value strategy, and I'm just going to add 10. So if I just add 10, now I'm going to add 110 onto this 3 that's here in the tens place, which gives me a value of 345. And that means that my ones place is gone. Oh, Kitty, you're scratching me. All right, bye, Kitty. You're distracting my students. Okay, now we have just 6 left to add on. So we can either add 6 or we could break that apart into 5 and 1. So it's just your comfort level. I feel pretty comfortable with adding the 6, so I'm going to go ahead and do my last skip jump there, and I'm going to add my value of 6, which I know when I add 6 onto this 5 value, if I add 5 of those numbers, that's going to bring me up to 550, plus the 1 would give me 551. So 3 strategies we went through today. The number line approach, where you're building onto your number using that line method. The place value approach, where we are expanding out those numbers to see their true value. Or that vertical stack method, where we are just doing that straight addition, making sure that we have clear and concise notation. Remember that? Making sure our numbers are in order. All right, if you can do those things, you are ready for our role reversal game we're going to play on Monday. Each one of you is going to receive a little neck name tag, and on one side it's going to say teacher, and on the other side it's going to say student. And I'm going to split you into 2 teams. So one of you will be take the role of the student, and so your name tag will say student, while the other one of you is going to say teacher. I am then going to call out something that will say teach expanded form to solve 362 plus 729. The teachers of the group are going to teach the student how to solve that number in expanded form method. The student will simply watch, comment if you need to, help the teacher out if they need it, and then I will say switch. And now the student becomes the teacher becomes the student, and I will call out another method, another strategy for you to use, as well as additional numbers. So I'll explain all of those rules again on Monday, but that's what we're going to be doing. So you'll want to make sure you have these strategies down. All right, and last of all, for our assignment that we're going to be working on in class on Monday, we are going to be working with that Jones family again. Remember, that was a family that jumped into their car and decided to travel all those hundreds of miles with their family? Well, those crazy cats are at it again, except this time they are going to be traveling thousands of miles across the United States. And it's going to be your job to plan out 3 states that they should visit, as well as charting the number of miles that they've traveled. So you can pick any of the 3 states. I'm going to give you a chart that has their mileage on it, and you're just going to have to work with adding these miles together. There might be a couple extension questions along the way, trying to find that specific number of mileage. I might incorporate a couple social studies questions, as in, what kind of landmarks could you see here? What do you think the weather might be like? What kind of clothes would they be wearing if they were visiting this state versus another state? So we'll just find a common connection between our 2 subjects there. But maybe start thinking about what states your Jones family would like to visit. You will be set up for success on Monday if you can do the following things. Can you accurately read and write numbers in the thousands? Can you identify the place values in 3 and 4-digit numbers? Can you recognize relationships between place value and how they might change during computation? Computation is a fancy word for when you're working with those numbers, and in this case it's adding. Can you use different strategies to add 3 and 4-digit numbers? So are you comfortable with our vertical method, with our place value or expanded form method, or our number line method? Are you able to show me examples in all of those forms? I would encourage you to make sure you wrote all those things down in your notebooks for me to check on Monday, and maybe practice with a few numbers in each of those methods so that you're comfortable and ready to rock and roll come Monday afternoon. With that, that's it. That's all I've got for you. So enjoy your weekend. Go team, whoever you're rooting for, and I will see you Monday.